Welcome back to Old School Sports and our OOTP 23 playthrough of the Kansas City Royals. We are at the start of August in 2034. The Royals are in a pretty tough race with the Los Angeles Angels for the best record in baseball, the best record in the American League. And you can see we're actually only 5 games up on the Guardians for the AL Central title. The AL Central this year, where every team has a winning record at this point in August. To use a football analogy, is kind of what the AFC West is expected to be in the NFL this year, with the NFL season having started yesterday evening. Thinking about what the season holds for the Royals, obviously the goal is to get back into the playoffs. Goal is to win it all this year because we are in a situation where 2 of our top players, Dylan Cruz and Bobby Witt Jr., could be gone next year. Cruz will be a free agent. Very unlikely that we'll bring him back given the amount of money that he's going to be looking for and the amount of really good young outfielders that we have either at the major league level or rapidly moving up through our system. Witt's got the option to opt out, as you can see. Hopefully we'll have him back next year at $33.5 million. If he does happen to opt out, at least with Cruz money also coming off the books, we should be able to bring him back if we want. At this point through the playthrough in 2034, we've had Bobby Witt Jr. at the major league level since he was a rookie. He's had an excellent career for us, led the league in runs once, hits once, stolen bases 3 times, and you can see he's been a perennial Gold Glove winner, perennial All-Star, won a Silver Slugger, won a couple world titles, won a Rookie of the Year award, and has also been the MVP in 3 playoff series for us. So building up a Hall of Fame type resume, although he has been out with knee tendonitis for about 2 weeks now. It's still another 2 to 3 weeks till he's going to return. Unfortunately, we're missing our 2 best offensive players right now, as Alex Vasquez was on the IL. Got 3 days left at this point. And then Caleb Lagerwell, who's been one of our best and most consistent and healthiest pitchers for close to a decade now. First significant stint on the IL from a few weeks ago also. He's been out actually just about a week at this point, not as long as I had thought. Still going to be out another 2 to 3 weeks till we get Lagerwell back, but hopefully I will have all 3 of those players back for the playoffs. And when we think about these final weeks of the season, as I mentioned, we're in a battle with the Angels for the best record in baseball. They're up 1.5 games on us right now. The Angels did win the World Series last season, and they also knocked us off in the divisional round when we had home field advantage on them. So would be great to get another shot at the Angels this year, and if we do, would be great if we had home field advantage when that happened. So hopefully we can make up some games over these last 7 or 8 weeks of the season. The good news is that we are up on the Yankees by, it looks like, 10.5 games for the second best record among the division winners. So as long as we can hold off Cleveland, we should have a first round bye. So primary goal is really holding off Cleveland over these last 7 or 8 weeks of the season. And the secondary goal is going to be to pass the Angels and claim home field advantage, at least for the American League and most likely for all of baseball, given that the Braves, with a .604 winning percentage right now, are the best team in the National League. And we now have Vasquez back from his injury, so that's the good news. We did have to send Mike McNeil down to make room for him. This is one of the young outfielders I talked about who's likely to take over for Cruz next year. You can see he was having a monster year in AAA, hitting .360 with 22 homers and 63 ribbies. Obviously a pretty small sample size for him while Vasquez was injured, but did hit just 179 and 39 at-bats in his initial major league experience. So we're going to send him back down to AAA for the time being. You can see he can still develop a little bit as far as his home run power and avoiding strikeouts and he did seem slightly overmatched, at least thus far, at the major league level. So hopefully get him some consistent playing time over the next month, and he will certainly be in the mix of people to bring back up when we do get to September roster expansion. Checking in on one other important player, Jonathan Ojeda, who was our number one pick, 32nd pick overall in the draft a couple months ago. Talked about him a lot in our last episode. He's been rapidly moving up. We've just kind of been giving him a little bit of experience at each level. Did go 0 for 1 in his only at-bat in rookie ball, but then he hit 500 in single A in a small sample size, 300 with 3 home runs in high A ball, and now most recently moved him up to double A, where he went 0 for 3 in his first game. Probably will have him in double A for a couple of weeks to get him a little more stability, since he's just been kind of rapidly moving up through our system. And we're a week into August, and the Royals are really struggling. You can see our lead over the Guardians is down to just 1.5 games, as we've gone 3-7 in our last 10, lost 2 in a row. We're now 4.5 behind the Angels for the best record in the American League. So hopefully having Vasquez back in the lineup will help us shake out of this little funk that we've been in for the time being. The Braves actually have a better record than us right now, so home field advantage throughout the playoffs is looking less likely. Home field advantage even in the American League is looking less likely, but still have a pretty big lead on the Yankees for the second best record in the American League among the division winners. So as I talked about earlier, holding off the Guardians for the AL Central crown is our primary goal over these final weeks of the season. So another week's in the books. Things have stabilized a little bit. You can see we've expanded the league back on the Guardians to 3 games, although we have lost 2 in a row again, so it was actually, I think, 4.5 at its peak a couple of days back. But playing a little better, 6-4 record now over our last 10. Actually made up a little bit of ground, I guess, on the Angels too. Only 3 games in back of them right now, although still 4 behind in the loss column. So going to be a challenge to get past the Angels, and it's honestly going to be a challenge to hold off the Guardians. So hopefully we will have both Bobby Witt Jr. and Caleb Lagerwell coming back this coming week. Kind of get back, hopefully, to the roster we are expecting to be playing with, and then play with that over the last 2 weeks of August, and then hopefully add some young talent that can help us get across the finish line for September call-ups. So we're nearing the end of August now. Bobby Witt Jr. Did just hit number 2,000 of his career, went 2 for 5. Lifetime batting average of 283, 292 homers, 1,051 runs batted in. As I talked about, there's potential that he could opt out after the end of this season. Given that we've had him through this entire playthrough, I'm going to do everything in my power to have him end his career with the Royals and just see what we can get out of him over the course of his entire career. Certainly has an outside shot at getting to 3,000 hits. He's going to need to stay healthy, but he did only turn 34 years old about a month and a half, 2.5 months ago, actually. So, if he's putting up, seasons more like the 160 to 180 hits that he has frequently put up, he can start closing in on it by the time he's around 40, if he's still playing at that point. If he's a little banged up, which he has been from time to time, and he's only getting 140, 150 hits a year, it's obviously going to take him longer to get there. So hopefully he can remain healthy, remain with the Royals, and remain a productive player. And we'll see if maybe we can tweak another 999 hits out of him over the next 5, 6, 7 years. And we've made it to September, and the lead over the Guardians for the AL Central is down to just half a game. You can see we've been 3-7 in our last 10. They're 7-3. So we are going to need to, really kind of turn things around here in the month of September to hold on to the second best record in the American League and ensure that we've got a first round bye. Certainly want to avoid a wild card series if at all possible. Taking a look at some of the leaders, Alex Vasquez, third in the league in hitting this year. The brilliant young rookie Victor Avelar, the right fielder, second in the AL at this point with 112 runs batted in. Vasquez is third in OPS. Among the pitchers, Ben Borgman having a real nice year, leading the league in ERA, tied for the league lead in wins, and tied for second in pitcher WAR. So definitely some potential for some nice individual awards from some of those players at the end of the year. Would think we'd certainly be in the mix for Rookie of the Year and probably get some MVP votes for Vasquez, and Borgman a very strong candidate for Cy Young Award. But as nice as the individual awards are, the point is to win the title as a team, and holding off the Guardians and ensuring that we win the AL Central is what I think will give us the best chance to potentially do that once we get to the postseason. So we're going to give some thought to the two players that we bring up to hopefully bolster our roster over these final weeks of the season. As far as the batters, we're going to bring up Mike McNeil again. I guess he's not been quite as effective since we sent him back down to AAA because his batting average is down to 348, but he's continued to hit with 27 homers and 84 ribbies now and 431 at-bats. Certainly has nothing left to prove at the AAA level, so we are going to bring him back up to the majors. With Vasquez around, he's probably not going to be an everyday starter, but I think he could still hopefully hit a couple of big hits for us coming off the bench, and maybe a timely home run here or there could help us in this push for the playoffs. As far as pitchers, we are going to bring back Ramon Perez. We had him up when Lagerwell was injured. He was reasonably effective with a 2.60 ERA over 17 and a third innings. His ERA in Omaha is 2.63 over 37 and two-thirds innings. So another arm for the bullpen. That's kind of the guys we're going to bring up. Shouldn't have any significant changes to the pitching as far as the lineups. Not surprisingly, McNeil is on the bench, so probably not optimal that we're not going to be getting him regular at-bats, but I still think that bat can hopefully help us as we try to get closer to the playoffs. And theoretically, he's only got a notch to develop in home run power and a notch to develop in avoiding strikeouts, and hopefully some good coaching and some modest playing time at the major league level will help him continue to progress. And if you're looking closely, you'll also notice that Willie Flores no longer starting on a regular basis. We have gotten him a little more playing time over the second half of the year. He's at 350 at-bats now. Hopefully he can get close to 400, even though he's not going to be starting against anybody. He's a very versatile defensive player, which we like. His bat thus far in the majors has been pretty meh, with a 242 average as a rookie, and then he's hitting 240 this year. A little bit of pop with over 20 doubles each year and 10 homers each season. He could be a super utility guy for us, particularly with that glove, both in the infield and in the outfield. So hopefully we'll be able to get him a few more at-bats over the course of the year. But I think at this point, Rich Alvarado is actually a better offensive player against both righties and lefties. And although he's not as good defensively, we are going to let rookie manager Bobby Crosby kind of decide this lineup over the last month of the season, and hopefully he'll make the right decisions to guide these Royals to another AL Central title. And you can see we're starting off the month with a critical series against the Guardians, who are only half a game behind us at this point. We've got 3 games at home against them, and then we are going to have 3 games on the road against the Guardians later in the month. So we'll sim through these 3 games now and see what happens. Lost the first one, so we are no longer in first place, half a game out. Definitely not an optimal start to this final month of the season. And actually, before we check on the final month, let's just see how bad August was for us. I mean, it wasn't horrible. We were still almost 500. So I think the Guardians have just been playing really good baseball, most likely. And we've been pretty average throughout the summer. You can see only one game over 500 in July and August. And now we're right at 500 for July, August, and September after that brilliant start to the season. First in the American League in runs scored and second in the American League in runs allowed. So definitely surprising with that profile that we're no longer leading in our division. You know, you look at the expanded standings, and we've underperformed by 3 games, and the Guardians have outperformed by 6 games. So that explains why they're ahead of us right now, despite the excellent offense and the excellent pitching that the Royals have put forth this year. Hopefully, we'll both revert to the mean over these last 3.5 weeks of the season, and we can still close the deal on the division. So moving on to game 2 in the series, and we got a 5-0 win, so that was good. Ben Borgman, we talked about potential Cy Young Award winner. Really good game. No earned runs, 2 hits, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts over 7 1/3. Improves his record to 17-4, 2.66 ERA. I believe is still the best in the American League. So Borgman came up big for us, put the Royals back into first place. Hopefully we can win the series here on Sunday and have a little bit of breathing room as we head into the meat of these final few weeks of the season. And we do get another 7-5 win over the Guardians. Walk-off. Alex Vasquez and pinch hitter Victor Avillar in the bottom of the 9th, game-winning 2-run home run. So the youngster had a day off, even though he's one of the top run producers in the American League this year, and he still got 2 runs batted in, even though he was only playing in the final at-bat of the game. Contreras was meh as the starter. Brule, not great. But then Williams and Allen, who we picked up as a signing, or actually a trade closer to the trade deadline to close for us. He's only picked up 4 saves so far in 13 games. Does have 25 strikeouts over 17 innings. He was really kind of the only addition we brought on at the major league level before the trade deadline, since we needed to make a deal and not be able to take, and we weren't able to take on any contract at all. So we weren't as active before the trade deadline this year as we have been in others. But now, good news is we're up a game and a half at this point on the Guardians. 1-2 in a row, both against them. Hopefully we can keep playing well over the next couple of weeks until we face them again. And it'll be a tougher task since we will be on the road in Cleveland as we get closer to the end of the season. And as I mentioned in the last episode, given the issues we had with finances this year, did not expect that we'd be able to sign Ishmael Vasquez, who we picked up in the 3rd round. He was looking for a crazy amount of money, which is kind of the reason why a player with a pretty solid batting profile slid to where he did. So we'll get another compensation pick for him next year to hopefully make up for the fact that he was our one draftee this year that we were unable to get into our minor league system. And we've now run through the first full week in September, still holding on to that game and a half lead over the Guardians. It's going to be particularly critical at this point, given that we've played kind of mediocre ball over the last 2+ months, that we do hold on and win the Central Division, because you can see we're actually now behind the Mariners for the 3rd best record in the American League. So if we fall out of the division title, the Yankees and the Mariners most likely will be the ones who are hosting those wild card series. So it's going to be critical to hold off the Guardians, because at this point, if we don't hold off the Guardians, odds are we won't even have a home series for the wild card round. We'll be on the road against either New York or Seattle, most likely, if we happen to fall out of the division lead. So hopefully we won't let that happen over these final 2.5 weeks of the regular season. Another week in the books, and we're still a game and a half up on the Guardians. Both us and the Guardians have clinched playoff spots at this point, so we will be in the postseason. You can see our magic number is down to 9 to win the division. Taking a look at the schedule, we've got those 3 big games on the road in Cleveland coming up, and then we are going to finish with 6 at home against the Twins. Twins, we talked about at the beginning of this episode, every team in the division had a winning record as of August 1st. That's no longer the case, as Chicago has slipped back a little bit, and they can't finish the season with a winning record at this point. So we're not going to have the very unique situation with 5 teams in a division with a winning record. But the Twins are still battling the Tigers to be the 3rd and final playoff team out of the AL Central this year. So the Twins are definitely going to have something to play for in those final games of the season. Positively, we will be at home for all 6 of those games. Right now, if I can sign up to take the series on the road in Cleveland 2-1, and then to win the 6-game series 4-2 at home, that would be a 6-3 record. It would be pretty hard for the Guardians to get past us if we put that up. But obviously, winning 3 series in a row is not going to be an easy thing to do. Call it 3 series in a row, because we do kind of have the weird 2-3-game series back to back. So I call that 2-3-game series rather than one giant 6-game series, which doesn't really seem to happen in Major League Baseball, although it does seem to be a scheduling quirk here in OOTP 23, where it seems like you finish the season quite often with 6 games against the same team. So starting the series on the road at Cleveland, as I mentioned, we're up a game and a half. Certainly want to win the series, even though we are on the road. Game number 1. Let's see what happens. Come on, blue spinning circle. Please move on and let me know whether we won this simulated game or not. And we did, a 4-3 victory. So big win for the Royals. Caleb Lagerwell back off the IL gets his 14th win of the year. You can see it hasn't been a vintage Lagerwell season with a 4.27 ERA, but still got the job done, expanded the lead to 2.5 games. Hopefully we take one of these next 2 and can still be up 2.5 heading into the final 6 games of the year. 7-4 win, so now we're going to get greedy and hope that we can sweep the series against Cleveland just to make things as smooth as possible, hopefully. But let's see what happens in the 3rd game of the series. And we did lose 2-3, so we're still up 2.5. We took the series, which is what we wanted to do. Rosny Contreras going to finish the year with, actually, well, not done yet. He'll still get one more start against the Twins, but a 9-10 record. So it'd be nice if we can get him back up to a 500 record for the season. But taking a deeper look at the standings now as we head into the final series of the season, up 2.5 on the Guardians with 6 to go. And we're actually only 2 behind the Angels now for the best record in the American League. So you look at the Angels, the Mariners, the Royals, and even the Guardians, and there's 4 teams that are both already guaranteed to be in the playoffs. But either the Angels or Mariners could end up winning the West, and either the Royals or Guardians could end up winning the Central. So the two teams that are going to have home field advantage and those first round byes in the American League are very much up for grabs here with 6 games left in the year. And taking a look at the Angels' schedule, they got 3 against Seattle, and they finished on the road in Oakland. So it'll be kind of interesting that those two teams battling, playing each other. Obviously, Seattle at the Angels, and then they're going to finish with 4 at home against Baltimore. And last but not least, we will check in on those Guardians. And they are going to be facing the White Sox at home, and then they're going to be on the road in Houston for 4 games. So nothing is settled yet. So let's find out what we can do against Minnesota, who is still fighting for a playoff spot. And they beat us 3-0 in the opener of the series. Game number 2 here in Minnesota. And we did get a 2-1 win. Tyler Bosma back into the starting rotation, having an 11-8 record for us this year. Really crazy season for him. He was our closer at the start of the year, picked up 14 saves, and he has since moved into the rotation. And you can see he's picked up a lot of wins too, double-digit wins and double-digit saves for Bosma this year. Gets us back to a 1-1 split over the first 2 games of this series. Looking at the standings, Cleveland's won 3 in a row now, so we're only up a game and a half on them. Still 2 games behind the Angels and a game and a half behind the Mariners for the best record in the American League, so that's getting increasingly uncertain. We've got to probably win out to have any chance at getting past both of those teams for the best record in the AL. And as much as we want the best record in the AL, right now the primary goal remains just making sure we win the division, and a win today against the Twins would be a big step in the direction of holding off the Guardians for another AL Central crown for these Royals. And unfortunately, it's another loss for the Royals. Check in on the standings. And we're still up a game and a half on the Guardians, as fortunately they lost. But we're now 3 games behind the Angels. And we've only got 3 games left. They've only got 3 games left. So best case scenario is that we could tie them for the best record in the American League. Probably unrealistic that that's going to happen. So the big goal is just to hold off the Guardians and ensure that we've got a first round bye. So another game on the road in Minnesota here on Monday the 25th. And as usual, it's taking a long time to sim this one game. 6-1 win, so that was big. Back up to a 2.5 game lead. So that, I guess we could still be tied. Worst scenario now is that we are tied for the division because the Guardians have a doubleheader today on Tuesday. 3 games left. We only have 2 total games left. So the magic number is down to 1 with 2 games left for the Royals and 3 games left for the Guardians. Feeling pretty good that hopefully we can get the division. And, again, if we win out and the Angels lose out, still could be tied for the best record in the American League. But the most important thing is to just ensure that we win at least one more game to ensure that we've got the American League Central wrapped up. And the AL Central is once again the Kansas City Royals. So good news, 3-2 win here today. Contreras did not pitch very long. I wonder if that means he got hurt. Yeah, he was injured while pitching. So not what we wanted to have in the second to last game of the season. We did get the AL Central, which is good. Looking at the manager's office, you can see this will be our 9th playoff appearance, and we've won the AL Central. Looks like now 8 of the last 9 years. So we've been pretty dominant in the AL Central, and I wouldn't say this was a dominant season, but it was still a good season. Not playing for much in this final game. Looks like Borgman's going to be on the mound, and he's got no chance at 20 wins. Given that there's the wild card series, I think it's probably okay that we pitch him. I'm going to be real conservative, though, and just cut his pitch count down to 80. We'll let him pitch this last game of the year, try to get a 19th win. As I mentioned, we'll have plenty of time off in the wild card series, so he'll still be able to hopefully be fully rested for when we do play in the division series. So we'll give Borgman one last chance here on the final day of the season. And of course, he's diagnosed with a dead arm. You've got to be kidding me. Dead arm, out for a week after 66 pitches. I guess we shouldn't have pitched him, obviously. Hopefully he'll be able to pitch in the playoffs, but just you couldn't write it up any worse than that. We get a 5-0 win. Borgman doesn't go long enough because of the dead arm. I guess I probably shouldn't have pitched him. It was not a entirely meaningless game because we were still theoretically fighting for the home field advantage throughout the American League playoffs. But actually we weren't. We were. If we had won, we would have been tied with those two teams. So we were still playing for something. I thought we were still playing for something, but I probably should have not pitched him the final game of the year. I thought cutting down his pitch count to 80 would be as conservative as we needed. Typical OOTP, kind of making things difficult for the manager with the fact that he suffered that injury. And obviously we are still waiting to hear what is going on with Contreras. It sounds like he's just day-to-day, so that's good. Day-to-day with the 2 injuries, a sore back and a mild abdominal strain. So he should be healthy for the playoffs. Borgman, with that injury for a week, is not going to be able to go in Game 1 of the ALDS. I would think most likely he will be going in Game 3 of the ALDS. So probably not optimal. But it is what it is at this point. You make the decisions and you got to live with them. So we ended up winning the AL Central by 4 games, 3 wins in a row there at the end of the year. Missed out on the best record in baseball by 1 game. Looking at the looks like Mariners are listed as first, so they must have won the tiebreaker over the Angels. Unless, is there going to be a 1-game playoff between them? I'm not sure how it works, quite honestly, with all the new playoffs as far as the American League, whether there would be a 1-game playoff between the two of them or whether they'll just go head-to-head. Regardless, we'll find out in the next episode for sure when we get into the 2034 postseason. Fortunately, as I mentioned, the Royals will have a first-round bye. I guess the negative thing is that since we will be the 2nd seed behind the Mariners or the Angels, if we... Actually, I'm not sure. No, because the Yankees will be the 3rd seed for the playoffs, and then the loser of that will be the 4th seed for the playoffs. So we'll see what the playoff bracket looks like. But I actually think that we're in a not bad position because the Yankees will be 3rd, and then the Tigers will be 6th. So I believe in the division series we'll be facing the Yankees or the Tigers, while the division winner in the West, even though they both have 99 wins, will be potentially facing either the Guardians and then the other team from the West. So I think that will actually work out a little bit favorable for us. Quick look at the leaderboard. Alex Vasquez, 331 batting average on the season, doesn't win his second batting title, but does finish second in the American League in hitting. Victor Avelar, the rookie, does end up winning the RBI crown. Had just a brilliant rookie year for us. 282 batting average, 42 homers, 135 runs driven in. I haven't looked through all of the rookies in the American League, but I would have to think that he is a pretty strong candidate for a unanimous Rookie of the Year award after that type of season. Getting into the pitchers, Borgman did end up leading the league in ERA, did end up tied for the league in wins. Eddie Chavera, who we made the big trade for, of one of the top prospects in baseball, Maxime de la Cruz, ended up having a really nice year, 17-6 record with a 3.91 ERA. Felt like we needed to get younger in the rotation and bring on a pretty good pitcher. Love the fact that he's durable as far as his injury proneness, so hopefully he can continue pitching well for us in the playoffs. While we're thinking about him, let's just take a look at what Maxime de la Cruz did this year in the minors. I guess he slipped a little bit to the sixth best prospect in baseball. The Phillies sent him back to rookie ball. We had him up in A ball at the end of last season where he hit 370. They wanted him to have another year of seasoning down in rookie ball, it looks like, where he hit 316. So he actually didn't even hit for as good an average this year in rookie ball as he did with us a season ago. But still obviously looks like a pretty solid prospect. But Chavera certainly helped us get the division title this year. So no complaints about that trade from our perspective. And then Borgman second in the American League in pitcher war. So we will obviously find out about award season following the playoffs. But right now, the focus is going to be what happens to these Kansas City Royals in the 2034 playoffs, and we will cover that in our next episode. In the meantime, love to hear your thoughts on how the end of the season went. Love to hear your ridicule on what a poor decision it was to pitch Borgman in that 162nd game, but I hadn't actually looked at it because I was just kind of doing this all on the fly with you guys, but I knew there was a chance that we could still get I thought there was a chance that we could still get the best record in baseball. And obviously if we had, actually we didn't have a chance because we did win the last game even though he got hurt and we were still a game behind. So if I had, after that win in game 161, if I had looked more closely in the standings and figured out that we actually couldn't catch the Mariners or the Angels, I guess the question is, would I have still started Borgman then? And we'll never know the answer to that. And we'll find out whether the injury to Borgman has potentially cost us a chance at a World Series championship in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.